My friends, my fellow Americans, my brothers and sisters in shared memory. Today we gather at the foot of memory. We stand where smoke once rose, where the unthinkable once became real. We stand on a ground made sacred by grief and sacrifice. This is not just New York soil. It is hollowed ground, stained with tears, sealed with courage, and forever etched with the echoes of September 11th, 2001. 24 years have come and gone, but the weight of that day has not lifted. It lives in the silence of these foundations, in the names carved in stone, in the broken skyline that we rebuilt, not with bricks alone, but with courage, compassion, and unity. On that Tuesday morning, as the sun rose over a clear blue sky, the ordinary became extraordinary. Office workers kissed their families goodbye. Firefighters checked their gear. Pilots prepared their planes. Children walked into classrooms. And then, without warning, innocence was shattered. Steel and fire fell from the sky. Towers that had reached into the heavens crumbled into dust. Thousands of lives were stolen in the span of moments that felt like eternity. The timeline of September 11th, 2001. 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. What began as a quiet morning turned into horror. Flames engulfed the building. Thousands were trapped above the impact zone. The world stared in disbelief. 9:03 a.m. United Airlines Flight 175 soared into the South Tower. The unthinkable becomes undeniable. This was no accident, but an act of terror. Panic spread. New York's heart bled. The skyline itself was under attack. 9:37 a.m. American Airlines Flight 77 slammed into the Pentagon, the very symbol of America's defense. Smoke poured from its walls. The capital of our nation trembled.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
9:59 a.m. The South Tower collapsed. A mighty skyscraper that had stood for nearly 3 decades crumbled in less than 10 seconds. The ground shook, the air turned to night, and thousands ran as the city was swallowed in ash. 10:03 a.m. On a quiet field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the story of Flight 93 was written in courage. Ordinary passengers heard of the other attacks. They chose not to wait for rescue, but to become the rescue. With the words, "Let's roll," they rushed the cockpit. The plane never reached its target. It was stopped by bravery and by sacrifice. 10:28 a.m. The North Tower collapsed. The skyline of New York, once crowned with twin symbols of strength, was reduced to smoldering ruins. The silence that followed was deafening. We remembered the horror. We remembered the ash falling like snow. We remembered the sound of sirens that never seemed to stop. And we remember the faces of strangers who became family as they held one another through unspeakable fear. But we also remembered the courage. Oh, how brightly courage burned in the darkest hour. Firefighters climbed the stairs while the world ran down. Police officers running toward the danger when instinct cried to run away. Paramedics carrying the wounded through fire and debris. Ordinary men and women, secretaries, janitors, bankers, writers, locking arms, carrying strangers, breaking windows, and making bridges out of their own bodies to save lives. And then, on that Pennsylvania field, ordinary passengers became soldiers. They whispered a prayer, spoke their final goodbye, and stormed the cockpit of Flight 93. They saved the nation's capital even as they gave their own lives. We gather here not only to mourn the lives we lost, but to proclaim the truth. Evil does not win. It did not win. Terror did not win. And hatred did not have the final word. Because in ashes, we found one another. In the smoke, we found solidarity. In the wreckage, we found resilience. And in the silence that followed, we found the voice of a nation rising, not in vengeance alone, but in resolve, in unity, and in remembrance. We promised on that day, never forget. And so today we remember. We remember the nearly 3,000 souls who perished in New York, in Washington, and in Pennsylvania. We remember the first responders whose bravery cost their lives, both that day and in the years since, as illness from the dust claimed more heroes. We remember the families torn apart, the children who grew up without mothers and fathers, the parents who buried their sons and daughters. We remember the men and women who answered the call in the wars that followed, many of whom gave their last, full measure of devotion on distant soil. But remembrance alone is not enough. The greatest tribute we can give is to live in the light of their sacrifice, to love one another more deeply, to build a nation worthy of their courage, to stand against hatred in all its forms, and to recognize what unites us is always stronger than what divides us. The Twin Towers may have fallen, but from their dust rose something greater, the indomitable spirit of people who refuse to bow. That is the spirit of New York. That is the spirit of America. That is the spirit we carry forward today. So let us speak their names. Let us hold their memory. And let us teach our children that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph of love over fear. Let us teach them that unity is not a relic of the past, but the hope of the future. As the sun sets tonight, let the light of these memorials remind us the world can change in a moment, but love, courage, and faith endure forever. To the families who still carry the ache of empty chairs at the table, know this: your loved ones are not forgotten. Their stories are not lost. Their lives continue to ripple across generations in the way we remember, in the way we live, in the way we love one another more fiercely because of them. And to those who gave their last breath on September 11th, we honor you, we remember you, and we carry your memory as a torch in the darkness, lighten the path for all who came after. May God bless the fallen. May God bless the families who mourn. May God bless the heroes who rose. And may God bless the United States of America, still standing, still strong, and still free. Never forget, always remember, forever united. God bless you. Have a good day.